Hello, I'm going to show you a few tips on how to take better, stronger photographs using your phone. Here's my battered old iPhone. For this project, you need to take it on landscape, not portrait. So generally, we're used to taking things on portrait, but remember to hold your camera like that. The other thing I'd really like to show you, which will help, is if you press the camera icon, I'll show you mine. I have a grid on my phone. I'll show you that in more detail, and you can put that on the settings, and it really helps you compose the picture. But also a few extra tips. There I am. If I press this, if I put my finger there, that will sort the exposure out and the focus. So if I put it there in the darker spot, it'll be really overexposed. If I move it to my face, it should be okay. The other thing you can do is, this is really clever, is you go like that, then you'll see a little sun. If you pull it down, then you can see the exposure changes. So if you think, oh, it's really bright, then just pull that sun down a bit. And if it's too dark, press it again, pull that sun up. But that's just a really quick tip. So it focuses, and it also, you can alter the exposure. And I think that should be possible on most phones. The object of your choice, it has to be an object that has a meaning, a really strong meaning to you, or a story attached. It doesn't have to be old. It could be as big as a tree. It could be a letter, a ring, an old photograph, a spoon, a button. Your choice is endless, really. Again, I'll remind you, landscape, not portrait. So that's this old swing here. My children, when they were really young, used to use it all the time. I decided just to take a photograph of that as an example. So that's landscape and that's portrait. To get the grid, and this will really help you compose a much stronger shot, you need to, if you've got an iPhone, you need to open the settings, then you go to camera, and then you go to grid, swipe to turn it on. Android, it's the same, and it will give you the grid lines. The great thing about having the grid lines is that you compose your shots so it's much stronger. And the thing you need to do is to have the most interesting thing that you're looking at on one of those thirds, going through one of those thirds. And that helps you really balance the composition. Really important to think about the quality of light. Make sure the light is good. If it's too harsh, then the photograph won't look as effective. So it needs to be a kind of soft light. So end of day or beginning of daylight is brilliant, or window light works really well. Really look at the picture before you take it. Look at the background as well. If it's too busy, then the object won't stand out. It may be that you want some really plain background. So have a look. You could use paper, you could use a wall, you could use the floor. But also it might be that you want some texture, so you could put it by a wall, or it could be an object in a cabinet or in its own environment. Really look at your picture and frame it before you take it. So try not to just snap away. And most of all, I think, just have fun with it. Just see it as a real opportunity to experiment. For your phones, so we have, obviously these are square, but you'll be having landscape images. Use the grid lines. Can you see that that's cutting through the third there? The grid lines will balance the shot. You set your focus with your finger. You press it where you want it to be focused. Negative space works really well. So these, you can see there's a lot of negative space. So the subject or the object is really clear. Symmetry can work really well. So you can see there's a cup of coffee, but it's really effective, that shot. And natural light is really beautiful. Your exercise is to create a photograph of your chosen object. You could choose to do it as a still life, or you could choose to photograph the object with someone, or you could do both. If somebody's connected to that object in some way, then it would be really nice to try one with them within the picture. First thing you need to do is to find a space to set up your still life with the object. I've used paper in some of mine. I found some coloured paper, I put it on the ground, and that worked really well. The second thing is to set up a photograph that involves a person or a group of people with the object. Make sure that it's not too cluttered, that if it's a group of people, that it's obvious the object that they have. You could take a series of photographs and work out which one is the strongest. And the main thing is to really experiment and have fun. So these are a few of my experiments today. So this is a letter, a very important letter. And I tried different things with it. This is literally a paper background. I then tried a letter on that's a wooden floor, and then my husband's hand touching it, holding the letter, because that gave the connection of him, because the letter was a speech that was read out to him. And that one, which I'm not sure is quite as effective, but I thought I'd add it. So I took these reasonably quickly. So here's the swing again. You might have a tree that is really important to you. So obviously this is a swing, it's attached to the tree. Now to get the tree in landscape, I had to take the photograph from below. So we have this really old kettle. We use it as a planter. It's an ancient old kettle. But the top 3 pictures, as you can see, really aren't effective. The reason is you can't really make it out on that one. The light's very harsh. This one, it's incredibly cluttered in the background. And again, this one, there's too much going on around and about. You can move your object and find a space for it to be. So here the light is much more pleasing and you can see the object. And then again, I tried it in black and white, and for the 6th photo, again in a different space. As you can see, I've experimented and had a bit of fun. I would choose probably 1 or 2 of these. And finally, a very important pair of Doc Martens, and 4 different ways of treating them. I think the main thing is that you can really see the object. I actually quite like this one because the light is interesting, but it might be that this works or that this one is better because you have a person wearing the docs. I think you need to just really enjoy the process. I hope that made sense to you. Now's your opportunity to really get to grips with your camera phone, or to get to grips with your camera. Remember, the same thing applies. It's about the light, it's about the composition, and it's about the background. So don't worry about making mistakes, because that really is how you're going to learn and how you're going to improve your photography. I've given you some real pointers there, and I hope you have a really enjoyable time experimenting with your photography.